Hey, great friends. Glad to have everybody with us today. This is another edition of the Scott Kaplan Solo Podcast. I will say, not going to be solo because I've got Linda Welby with me, and we are bringing on today a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ken Druck. And Ken Druck is a guy I've known in San Diego for years, and he was around the show many times with me and Billy Ray and Linda, and he is a grief specialist. And I don't mean to turn this into a sob story today, but I'm still dealing with all of the emotions of Billy Ray's celebration of life from this past Saturday at the Rock Church. And so, Linda, I thought Ken Druck would be able to come in here and talk to us today about what it is to deal with grief and loss and things like this. He's a best-selling author. He lost his daughter tragically when she was very young, and he has built really an entire career on helping people. This is why you see him a lot of times on CNN, when there's major tragedies. Ken is that guy. He's local. He's available to us. And I thought he would be a great guy for us to talk to, especially, Linda, because I found out this past week at Billy Ray's celebration of life how much these podcasts about Billy Ray are helping his family members, from his daughter who lives in Nashville to his sister who lives in North Carolina. They told me this past weekend that these podcasts are what they're using for coping mechanisms because they're so disconnected. So I thought Ken would be a great guy to talk to, and I thought it would be terrific for us to review what happened this past weekend down at the Rock Church.
Well, I'm glad he's coming on because it's a process. Grief is obviously a process. And even after the Encinitas thing, and then after the Rock Church, Austin and I and you and Rachel, we went out to a quiet location to kind of absorb everything and, kind of debrief after the whole thing. And it went from this really big hug at the Rock Church to feeling empty again a little bit and then back. So I'm really grateful that this guy is on because, I know I've been through a lot of grief, and and for the family to be able to go back and watch these things, that does warm your heart again. So I don't know. I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, me too. And I think because a lot of people, look, we were there on Saturday, and I don't know how you felt about it, Linda, but I told this to Kimberly, Billy Ray's wife, after the fact. It was, in my opinion, the perfect celebration of life. Like, I went down there in a light blue jacket and a white shirt because I had a whole black outfit, black shirt, black jacket, the whole thing. I had it all planned. You got somebody at your door, Linda?
Oh, gee, you know me. I am the most unprofessional person going. And let me just say, I switched my thing because I'm like, okay, because radio was never visual, right? So now it's visual. Now I need some light coming in. The wall was blank. I brought Miles in, propped him up on the couch.
I see that.
He's looking at you with a very judgmental look. I can tell.
Yeah.
So bear with me. It's off. Here we go. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good. Listen, I will say, like, to me, I told Kimberly, it was the perfect celebration of life. I didn't know if I was going to a funeral where we were all going to be crying our eyes out, or if we were really going to celebrate Billy Ray's life. And I will just say, because I want to hear what you think, between the music, which was incredible. Bonnie Foster put up a band of it was a church choir on one hand, but it was a rock band on another. Between the music, the videos, the pictures, the speakers. John Carney, Ralph Bernershka, Drew Brees, Dan Fouts, Kimberly Hunt. The list went on of incredible speakers. And just, to me, when we all left, we weren't all crying our eyes out. We were all grateful to have been there. At least that's how I felt. What did you think?
I did as well. I thought it really was when I came back home after everything, so now we're talking later that night, and I'm sitting here with my husband, and I said, I think that was the greatest celebration of life I've ever been to. And, we are music people too. So, the music, the sound system in there, Dream On brought tears to my eyes because I know that was one of my favorite songs too. And typically when it's Aerosmith, I usually go, I don't want to cover that. That's risky.
Yeah.
They knocked it out of the park. And then the videos, and then, when there were a couple of times, because obviously Alex and I were sitting there and my husband was on the other side and he had the tissues ready. And I did, there were tears, but sometimes there was laughter through tears, sometimes, which is a great emotion. And then, when Kimberly got up very emotional, Savannah, my gosh, she put it on tape, which I thought was the only way. I don't think I could have gotten through it, And then at the end, when you came in, I kind of leaned into Alex and I'm like, what are we going to get here? Is he going to crumble? What are we doing? And we both bet that, yes, you would in fact lose it. And you didn't, but you made it very fun. And I thought all the speakers were so poignant, and then you readdressed, the Billy Ray way. It was just, it all came together so beautifully. It was really and truly, and I'm not just saying this, but it was the greatest tribute to Billy Ray possible. And that big picture that was taken at Savannah's wedding, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gorgeous smile. His whole face lit up, as people would talk about. So yeah, it was really, it just filled my whole spirit up. In fact, I talked to a couple of people after. I said, have you ever been to the Rock Church? I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to start going to the Rock Church.
Yeah, I know.
It was great.
I was very lucky that Kimberly said to me that I should speak last. And I didn't know if I should feel pressure, like they're expecting me to kind of bring this thing home. But then I realized they actually left me last, not because I had the most interesting stuff to say, hardly, but because I was never going to be able to keep it to 4 minutes. So had they put me in the middle of this program, people would be like, I got to go. Come on, let's go. But because I got to speak last, I didn't have to worry about the clock.
We did, and you didn't worry about the clock. And it was hilarious because I'm waiting for the Oscar music to start playing you off. But I will say you did, I don't know how much you went over. And the reason I don't know how much you went over was because each segment and each story that you talked about Billy Ray was super interesting. And, I know that people were just, you wanted to hear more. We just want to hear more stories about Billy Ray. The film, I had always heard the story about the kick, the barefoot kick, but I had never seen the video. And that was just amazing. That just summed up who Billy Ray was, the stories that you told. He was that guy who, if he was your friend, he had your back no matter what. Matter what.
That's right. That's right.
And that's rare.
Yeah. And as a teammate, as a football teammate, when they showed Billy Ray in the, I don't remember what year it was, like maybe 86 or 87, whatever year it was, Ralph Benershka is telling the story. I got hurt. Our punter got hurt. We didn't have a kicker. So the Chargers are playing the Saints in the preseason. There's whatever it is, 6 or 7 seconds left in the game. They don't have anybody to kick the field goal. Billy Ray goes up to the coach and goes, I'll do it. And they're like, what? And he's like, 54, big shoulder pads, massive face mask. He's like, I got it. They snap the ball. He kicks it. Guys like me, Rolf, and John Carney, we're all like, we're head cases. So we would have been in our own heads. Billy Ray doesn't care. He's just a football player. Snap the ball, I'll kick it through. Billy Ray kicks his perfect field goal. Perfect. And the referee throws a flag, and the referee is laughing when he's making the call. It's a preseason game. Let it go. Nope. The rule is you cannot kick a ball with a shoe that has tape around the shoe. Maybe there's something underneath the tape. So they get the ball. They throw it into the end zone. Pass interference. There's no time on the clock, but the ball's on the goal line. Billy Ray cuts his shoe off, cuts off the sock, and barefooted goes out and kicks the game-winning field goal. Perfect kick. Perfect.
And might we add, he had one warm-up on the sidelines.
That's it.
One.
Right. That's it. One warm-up. The rest of us, head cases, 25 warm-ups.
Yep.
But not him. So the best thing that happened for me anyway, Alex, I know you got some pictures. The best thing that happened for me as a speaker, because I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm crying all day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold it together. And Kimberly spoke so perfectly, and she prepared her statements so that she could get through it all. I did not prepare a statement. I did not write a speech. So what I did is I just got to go up there and kind of play off everybody else. And when Dan Fouts said to everybody, you should leave here today and live the Billy Ray way, when I got up on stage, I could look down at Dan and go, Dan, we should all leave and live the Billy Ray way? What's the Billy Ray way? I'll tell you what the Billy Ray way is. And I wound up telling 2 stories in particular. The first of which was Billy Ray and I are very early on in our partnership, and we get fired by Extra Sports 690, but we do know that we're going to go back on 1090. This is going to be, later in 2003. But in January of 2003, when the Super Bowl was in San Diego, Billy Ray was going to make $8,000 to work a full week as an analyst for Channel 4 San Diego. So probably 6, 7, 8 days, he was going to get paid $8,000. Billy Ray went to the management of Channel 4 and said, my radio partner it would be helpful for our radio show if Scott were seen on television and if we were together, and it would also help him out a lot if he made some of the money. So Billy Ray cut the money in half, $4,000 to him, $4,000 to me, and got me and him on TV together so that we could advance the ball, getting us back on the radio, which was going to happen 2 months later. He told me not to tell Kimberly that he was splitting the money with me because she's
I was
going
to say, was that the first time she had heard that story?
Second time, because I told her this story a few weeks ago. But the point was, he didn't want her to know because she was the business person of the family.
Right.
And he was this generous, throw money around. Anybody who needs help, here's money, here's money. He gave me half the money.
Yep.
You know? And the second story I told was the day that he quit on the spot. When at this point new management had come into 1090, we were sitting down for a contract negotiation, and they looked at him and said, "You're awesome, you're the best." And they looked at me and said, "You're terrible, you're the worst." And they said, "You're fired. Billy Ray, your choice is either to come back to the radio station with us or go with him." And Billy Ray quit on the spot. And even though our agent said, "Please stop, don't say another word, Billy Ray's like, "No, I'm out of here. I quit. I'm done. You don't screw over my partner and expect me to come back to work for you guys. I'm out." And when he went home over the next couple of weeks, they kept calling his house going, "Billy Ray, come back to work. Billy Ray, come back to work." He's like, Nope.
I know. He had so much integrity. And just like I said, he backed you up no matter what. And I was texting with Kimberly after, and it was interesting because I was like, it was so beautiful. Everything was just covered. Everything was perfect. And then she said the only thing was, because she and I would always go back about, from a female perspective, he was a gentleman through and through, like this Southern gentleman. And yes, he could be, he stood his own. He was fierce. He was all those things. But when it came to the ladies, he was such a gentleman. And she said, and then I thought, I didn't mention what a gentleman he was. I'm like, I'm pretty sure everybody knew.
Yeah.
Everybody knew.
Right. So I guess for me, I've received some, everybody's got to be a jerk on social media. So people have said to me, "Are you talking about anything else nowadays other than Billy Ray?" And here's what I'll say to you. I've been telling Billy Ray stories for the last couple of weeks. I'll be telling Billy Ray stories for the next few years because he was that important to me in my life. But what I realized was, and why I think today's podcast is important, is this. Billy Ray's sister says to me afterwards, "You don't understand. I watched all 2.5 hours of the birthday party at the American Legion in Encinitas. I've listened to the interview with Dan Fouts. I've listened to you and Linda talk about your memories of Billy Ray. And because I'm all the way across the country and I feel so disconnected, you and the podcast are what's making it, it's making me feel connected, Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, listen, I don't care how many people watch. I don't care how many people listen. What's important to me is this. The people that watch and listen today who are dealing with all this grief and sadness and sorrow and so on, these are the people who I want to help today, including myself.
I agree. It's good for everybody. And I thought too, I'm so glad at the end of the beginning of the service and at the end, they had these cards that you could fill out, and they wanted everybody to write their favorite memory of Billy Ray. And I was standing there with Alex and going in, and Austin, they said, "Well, let's go in." I said, "I can't think, there's so many, but I want to put the right one down, because these are the things that keep, people going when someone's gone. It doesn't just end once that celebration of life is over. Believe me, actually, that's the easy part, whether you want to believe it or not. And I'm sure we'll talk to this, Ken Druck about it. But and then as I was sitting there, I was listening to your stories and all the stories of the players. I made a comment to Alex, and then Alex said, "Well, then that's your memory right there." And it just kind of comes to you. But there are so many. There really are. And they're all great because the Billy Ray way, he did make you want to be a better person.
Oh, there's no doubt. As a matter of fact, his sister couldn't have been more appreciative of all the stuff that we've been doing. And I've just had more people. I'll give you a great example. John Pratt, who was one of our great producers. By the way, this is the order of the service. Look at this lineup. John Carney, Drew Brees, the mayor, Ralph Benershka, Dan Fouts, Kimberly, and then Savannah on video. And then I got to bring this whole thing home. And I guess I didn't realize I was in a church because I used the phrase "swear to God" a couple
Oh
of times.
boy.
Because I was trying to express to everybody, I'm not joking here. I'm not exaggerating. I swear to God, this is exactly the way it happened. And
Could you feel?
Miles McPherson gets up and he goes, Scott, two things. One, we told you 4 minutes, you spoke for 20. Two, you swore to God 5 times. And I'm like, hey, pastor, I didn't even realize we were in a church, like a freaking concert hall to me. I didn't see any crosses, you know?
I know. Well, it brought back some memories for me being in church growing up, and as you kept saying it, and then each time you said it, I could feel like, nee, nee, and it kept going like this, but then it got funnier and funnier because hey, I think laughter is the best medicine, honestly. And my concern was that, Scott, you kept saying that. Now I know how that story really unfolded. And it didn't unfold the way you said it because you softened it and you didn't use the crass words that were used when that guy said something new. But I thought for a half a second, I thought Scott's on a roll. Like you get in your head and you get so emotional about something. And I'm grabbing Austin's leg and I thought, oh, he's going to say it. He's going to say those words in church. Oh no. But you didn't.
I did not
You
curse
didn't.
one time. Now here was the most uncomfortable part of the entire, situation. I come off the stage. Okay. I've been talking 20 minutes. By the way, I might as well have been in a steam room. I was sweating. The lights were shining down on me. I was gesticulating. I come off the stage. John Carney's the first person there. So I give John a big hug. Drew Brees is sitting next to him. By the way, Drew Brees was spectacular as a speaker. I mean, just spectacular.
He really
the things
was.
he said. So I shake hands with John Carney. You just saw that picture. Drew Brees stands up and Drew gives me this just big brotherly hug. And I'm so proud of him and I'm so happy for him that he's in the Hall of Fame. And Drew gives me this giant hug, which was beautiful. And now I realize I better like shake hands or say thank you to everybody who's kind of in that front row. So Carney and Breeze and Rolf and Dan Fouts and Dan's wife, Jerry, who I absolutely adore, was probably one of the most important conversations of my life. Was one night we were having dinner with Dan and Jerry's telling me how supportive she is of Dan. And I realized in that moment, my wife doesn't support me anywhere near like this. I've got to get divorced. And that was a seminal moment. And I go down the line and now it's Kimberly and Savannah and Kim's mom, Vesta, and other Billy Ray's stepsisters who were sitting in the front row.
And his son-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then all of a sudden I realize here's John Spanos, Susie Spanos, and Dean Spanos. If I don't extend a hand, I'm going to look super petty. And as much as I don't like them as Charger owners, it was super classy that they showed up. Very, very classy that the Spanos family showed up. And so I extended my hand to shake John's hand, who I always had a nice relationship with. No problem. I go to shake Susie Spanos' hand, and she goes like this. She goes, she put out her hand and looked away. Right. And then Dean and I.
It was half. Yeah. It was half. We got half.
Dean and I locked eyes. We shook hands. And I was like, you know what? The classy thing from them was to show up. The classy thing for me to do is to at least give them a little bit of appreciation and shake their hand and say, hey, look, it's over. It's 10 years already,
Right.
So all in all, I will just say this. It was the most spectacular, incredible celebration of life I've ever been to. Everybody should wish that your wife, your daughter should celebrate you in this incredible way. And that Billy Ray deserved it all. And we were all there to really create a special night or a special afternoon. So
it was, I mean, it really, even on the drive, I was saying all of a sudden I start saying, okay, so that was amazing. I want that. I want this. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of morbid and weird to think about, but I just thought I've been to a lot of those, unfortunately. And I know, I mean, it was Billy Ray, but it was just so well done. And I think the words that people chose and the speeches that they gave, all from the heart. I mean, really, the only one that really read off cards was Todd Gloria, right? Everybody else really just spoke from the heart, and it was amazing. So
it really was. All right, well, let's do this. So now, again, if you were a Billy Ray fan, if you were a radio listener, if you were a Charger fan, if you loved him on TV, whatever the case may be, you may be dealing with a lot emotionally. And I'm talking very specifically to Kimberly and to Savannah and to Billy Ray's sisters and his stepsisters and his brother and his nephews and all of his family members that are being connected to Billy Ray's memory through us and through these podcasts. The conversation we're about to have with Ken Druck is for you guys. So if it's watched by thousands and thousands of people, terrific. I hope people get something from it. Whether you're thinking about Billy Ray or you're thinking about family members or friends or whatever. And if you don't want to deal with this kind of content today, then, that's cool too. But this is about us, our relationships, our emotions, etc.
It's a grieving process. Yep.
Yeah, it really is. All right. Ken Druck, in just a matter of moments. Before we get to Ken, can I just have a minute to pay some bills? I'll start off with this. We are in the 7 Mile Casino studio, 7milecasino.com. If you're going to play blackjack, poker, table games, you need to come to 7 Mile Casino. It's not a big super casino with, a concert venue and a wannabe Vegas pool scene. This is a card room. Great food at Sammy's Restaurant and Bar, and you've got all the games you want to play, and you're going to be a big winner at 7 Mile Casino. And the best part is 7 minutes south of downtown San Diego, right off Bay Boulevard in Chula Vista. No smoking ever. Parking is super easy. You're going to come in. You're going to be a winner. You're going to have a great time. And we look forward to seeing you at 7 Mile Casino, 7milecasino.com. Linda, I want to talk to everybody for a second about Cozy Earth. Now, Linda, do you know Cozy Earth? Are you familiar with this brand at all?
I do not know. Cozy Earth I'm guessing it is a marijuana dispensary of some kind.
No, you got it all wrong.
Okay.
Cozy Earth, but I'm going to tell you something right now. This is good news and bad news for you. I'm going to introduce you to Cozy Earth, and you will become, as I am, addicted to this brand. The sheets, the bed sheets, they're made of this bamboo knit material. And apparently, somehow through the technology, I don't know how it works, but I know it does work. When you're hot, they cool you down. When you're cold, they warm you up. I have one set of Cozy Earth bed sheets at my house. Every Monday, I strip the bed, I wash them, I put them back on the bed. Well, I don't, the housekeeper does. I don't have the skills. These are the greatest bed sheets, the most comfortable bed sheets you've ever slept on in your life. And when you sleep on these sheets, Linda, you'll never sleep on anything again. I guarantee it. So I'm going to encourage you to buy your first set of Cozy Earth sheets by using our code Kaplan to save 20%. What do you think?
Okay. So I'm looking, I understand the bamboo. Are they shiny? Are they stretchy? What's going on?
Yeah, they are kind of stretchy. They do have a little bit of a shine to them, but they're the softest, and this is the whole thing about Cozy Earth. I'm holding up right now their beach towels. I got these beach towels a month ago. I refused to take them out of the ribbon. I refused and they're so soft. I don't even want to take them to the beach. I don't want to use them. They're so nice. I don't want to use them. The bathrobe, Linda. The bathrobe is unbelievable. And let me tell you this.
You should have worn it today. That would have been great.
Let me tell you this. I promise you this right now. Just do me one favor. Just take me to the test here. Get some sheets for your bed. And buy Austin a pair of what's called the Everywhere pants. They're the greatest pants he'll ever wear.
Are they magic pants?
They look like slacks. They can be worn with a sport jacket. They can be worn casual. They are and they've got this elastic waist. So you don't have to feel like all squeezed in. They're the most comfortable, versatile pants you'll ever wear. So
by Cozy Earth as well.
All by Cozy Earth. And there's one Cozy Earth store in San Diego. It's in Carmel Valley. These are the Everywhere pants. People always compliment these pants. Like, I was wearing them at Billy Ray's Celebration of Life. I was wearing them in navy blue. So whether it's
I like
bed
those.
sheets,
do they come in talls?
No problem. You got it for sure. Look at the waistline.
Oh yeah. Okay. Can I just tell you really quick? The reason that I'm for sure going to try this is because of the hot and cold. If you are now, when we go to bed at night, this might be too much information. Austin has a hoodie on. He's got sweatpants on. I am in a tank top. I am sweating. I am, we're just two very different people when we go to bed. I have the AC blasting because I am so hot. And honestly, I've been looking I just said the other day, I said, I need to find something. I know there's things that can cool things down. those sound like the sheets.
You have
I'm
to
going to
have
try
these
them.
sheets. You have
I
to
am
have
going to
them.
try them.
My kids will come into my room and go, I want to get in your bed because I don't have Cozy Earth sheets. Well, get a job, work, and you'll one day be able to afford them yourselves. Cozy Earth, use our code Kaplan, save 20% on all of their great products. And when you get to the end, make sure you fill out the survey that tells everybody, hey, I found out about Cozy Earth through Scott Kaplan Solo Podcast, Kaplan and Crew, etc. One last thing really quickly, and that's Prize Picks. We're getting ready for football season. So whether it's women's basketball that you're playing right now, whether it's baseball that you're playing right now, NFL's preseason, college football is getting ready to kick off this weekend. Make sure you download the Prize Picks app. Use my code GREATFRIENDS. When you hit your first $5 lineup, they're going to give you $150 in lineups right away. It's now available in all 50 states, and you can play so many other games other than just the props with the players. There's so much more you can do than ever before. So if you're getting ready for football season and you want to have some fun, make sure you download the Prize Picks app. Use the code GREATFRIENDS. When you make your first $5 lineup and win, you're going to get $150 in lineups instantly in your account. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app. You're going to love it. You're going to have a great time. And I can't wait for the start of the football season. All right, here comes Ken Druck. And let's talk about how to deal with all of these emotions that we're living with in the aftermath of the loss of somebody who's as powerful and as important to you as Billy Ray was to us. Let's visit with Ken Druck. Well, Ken, let's just jump right in. I mean, Linda and I were just having this conversation before you got here, just about we were both at Billy Ray's celebration of life this past weekend. He was such a powerful force. Kimberly, his wife, is an incredibly powerful force.
Yes.
She put on, I mean, she literally produced one of the all-time great shows. When you look at, and Alex can put up for you the list of speakers. We've got the pictures. Drew Brees, just recently in the Hall of Fame, Dan Fouts, Ralph Benershka, John Carney, the mayor shows up to the point is that Kimberly wanted to make sure that Billy Ray got a send-off that was worthy of who he was as a person. But Ken, the thing I was telling Linda before you got here is Billy Ray's sister lives in North Carolina. She told me that for the last month, she's been disconnected, but the only connection that she's had is through us, me and Linda and Alex and Browner, everybody in our podcast and our birthday party for Billy Ray. So I was hoping that today our conversation, hopefully it helps somebody who's dealing with grief and loss, but mostly we're doing this for me, Linda, for our team, and for Billy Ray's family that is staying connected through these podcasts. So thank you very much for doing this for us today.
Like I said, I'm honored, Scott and Linda. We don't understand life until we understand loss. We kind of put it on the side like it doesn't really happen, and then when it happens, we're overwhelmed. We go from the surreal, like this couldn't have happened, to the all too real, where, oh my God, he's gone. My God, he did. And how we haven't learned really as a culture how to process loss. And it's not just the loss that we experience, like with Billy Ray, where somebody we love has died. And even if you're a fan, you loved him. You've grown an affection for him and his wife, and his story, and you're feeling so grateful and you're feeling heartsick. But it's not just the loss of life, people we've lost. It's everybody out there, you and all three of us and everybody who's listening has suffered a what now moment in their life where something has been lost. And it could be a life loss or a living loss. A living loss is somebody going through a divorce. Their relationship has ended. Somebody has gotten a bad diagnosis. They went for their annual physical and they were told something that's like, what? Are you kidding me? Am I going to have to deal with that for the rest of my life? Is there anything I can do?
Alzheimer's is a living loss as well.
Alzheimer's. Yeah. We talk to our parents, our aging parents. I just wrote a series for Psychology Today on the relationship between adult children and their aging parents. And what's it like if your mom and dad are getting older and they're repeating stories, or it's, you're scared when they get in the car and it's time to take the car keys away, or, when things like this are going on, or you're just seeing them feeling older and they're depending on you now. You're helping them make critical decisions. They don't know how to use their cell phone or their computer or some things in their home. So anyhow, loss is what we all get to go through. When we age, and aging is the grieving the loss of our younger self. It's like, my God, I used to have a hairline, and and by the way, when I was thinking about doing the show, Scott, I looked up at the shelf above me, and I thought, here's a loss that the world suffered, and here's my daughter Jenna. The way I got into loss,
Wow.
so I lost my oldest daughter, Jenna, and here's Jenna with another buddy of mine that I lost, and I thought, you guys will enjoy that picture.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Could you actually be just before we get too deep into this conversation,
Yeah.
Ken, for Linda, for Billy Ray's sisters who are watching, for Kimberly and Savannah, just if you could, just give everybody a piece of the background as to how you got to this place in life, that somebody is I'll call it an expert in coping with loss, and all of the books that you've written about it, the numerous national television appearances, all because, go back to the beginning of the story, just so people, before we get too deep into it, just so they understand the credentials.
Yeah, this isn't coming out of my head. What I'm sharing with you is coming from my heart. It's coming from my heart because my heart was shattered in 1996 when my oldest daughter went on a study abroad program, and she died in India in a bus accident. My daughters are the light of my life. And to lose my daughter my life as I knew it was over. Every aspect of my life. Just as I'm sure right now, Kimberly and Billy's kids, and his family.
His daughter, Savannah. Yeah.
Yeah, or Savannah, your lives as you knew them have ended. The new part of life that you're completely unfamiliar with. How do we possibly go on now is something I've experienced. How do I possibly go on and live out the rest of my life without my daughter? How could I, go out to dinner? It's like I'm going out to dinner and having fun and my daughter died. What right do I have? How could I possibly experience any joy and pleasure in my life? Is my life also over? And we experience this both when somebody dies, somebody we love dies, but we also experience it. How much grief was there in this community when the Chargers left town? How much experience, even in recent years, Peter Seidler, I got to know Peter. What an extraordinary man. And for him to lose Peter and now to lose Billy Ray, it's like, my God, this is life. These are life's terms. We all die. It's a terrible, dark, depressing thing to be able to say to people, but we need to begin to cultivate some understanding of this is the way of life. We get this incredible ride. We get to be on the anthill. We get to this incredible gift, but we're in the middle of this grand mystery. We have Neil deGrasse Tyson telling us, we don't just live in a universe. We live in universes, the galaxies. We're in the middle of something so huge, so unknowable, so mysterious. And that's part of life, is that we have to understand, I'm not going to know everything. I'm not going to understand everything. I'm not, I will not know what death is with 100% certainty, or even life is. I have my 6-year-old grandkid saying, Poppy, some parts of life really hard to understand. Yeah, they're really hard. It's hard to be a person. And one of the most difficult parts of being a person is dealing with loss. So here I am with the loss of my daughter and not knowing how I'm possibly going to go on. I started a nonprofit foundation to honor her life and her spirit, much the way Kimberly stood in with, and I wish I had been here. I was with a dying friend in San Francisco this weekend. Otherwise, I would have been there, right there with you guys, because I personally love Billy Ray and I love his wife. But, I had suddenly we're at the Marriott Hotel in 1996 celebrating my daughter's life, with friends who come in from everywhere to talk about what an amazing kid she was. She was voted one of America's future leaders out of high school, out of Torrey Pines High School. And so here I am. What am I going to do? How do I go on? And in the beginning, I had no idea. I had one idea. I know that the antidote to the pain and the sorrow that we go through is gratitude and honor. How do I honor my daughter's life and spirit? And I started a nonprofit foundation to help other families who'd lost a child and comparable losses. And I started a girls leadership program that my daughter created at age 16 to help girls become leaders in their own lives and their communities. So that's what I did. And that's what I did for 18 to 20 years of my life. And I became the go-to guy. So when 9/11 happened, I'm from New York. I was called back to New York and asked to coordinate bereavement for the 3,000 families that lost loved ones, for the New York Fire Department, for the police department. So I've spent years of my life. And since 1996, I have been the guy who gets the call, whose phone rings when something happens at Columbine or Sandy Hook, or Boston or Las Vegas, where something horrible has happened. And people are saying, how am I possibly supposed to go on from this? And I talk about the 8 honorings, because doing something good in her name is another one. Surviving the death of the person you've loved. Your survival is a form of honor, that you fight your way back into life, that you learn to live in the new normal, that you find meaning, that you balance out the sorrow. People ask me, Ken, how are you doing? It's been 30 years. They look into my eyes and they look at their watch. 30 years, as though grief aligns itself with time. No, part of grief occurs outside of time and beyond time. And I tell them, I say, look, I walk with a limp in my heart. I still miss my daughter. I love my daughter. I'm still so torn up inside that she didn't get to live out this life. Just as it tore my heart out to see Billy Ray suffering in the final years. And Scotty, I got to work with you and Billy Ray and Linda years ago. And I know the love between you guys. So my heart immediately went to, my God, what are these guys doing? How are they coping with this? How are they dealing with this? And I wanted to reach out and hug both of you. So today's my chance to hug both of you, because I know that you've been heartsick, and I know you're trying to figure out how do we go on from here? Okay, we did the memorial, the celebration of his life. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do?
Yeah.
And all the honorings of grief that I've put together and that are in my How We Go On book, deal with specific aspects of how we go on.
And that's important. And I do have to say, I'm so sorry for your loss, but it's also a blessing, because you're coming from a perspective and helping other people. Because I know for myself, if I go seek help somewhere, if I'm going to go to therapy or something, I'm sorry. I don't want a 20, 30 something. I want a woman who's been in the trenches, who understands it, who speaks from experience, and obviously you've had the biggest heartache of all. And then, so that's a wonderful thing. I'm just wondering though, you talk about, because you can't fix grief, right? I mean, it's a process.
No.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
But you have people like, I know myself, I know Scott, we're fixers. We're instant fixers. We like to fix things.
Right.
What's the problem? Here we go. We got to fix it. Grief doesn't work like that.
No. Let me show you how it works. Over here, we're wired to figure out and fix. That's what we're wired to do. We are built that way. It's like that's the way our brain is tuned. As guys, you don't have a choice. There's also the basic training you have as a guy and the basic training you have as a girl and a woman. And so anyhow, so there's figure it out and fix it, but there's a whole nother realm over here. And that whole other realm is be with, meet, walk with somebody, stand with somebody, listen to somebody, just be with them, be in service to them. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to fix it. And we need to learn how to go from here to here. There's a time to fix and figure stuff out and help people understand, but there's a time to be with other people and listen. And the way we heal and we begin to heal, and the way we begin to learn how to live in that new normal and to regulate the sorrow that we feel, instead of going out and trying to drink it into oblivion, busy it into oblivion, hide, deny, and repress it into oblivion. It doesn't work that way. The debt comes due sooner or later. You can't outrun grief. You can't outrun this kind of sorrow. You have to deaden yourself in order not to feel it. So it's money in the bank when we let ourselves cry. It's money in the bank when we let ourselves, like you're doing today with your show, when you're letting people air out around a subject that nobody wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important. It's money in the bank if we can talk about it, if we can understand it better, if we have a place to constructively vent and air out our sorrow, as well as our gratitude, as well as ways of honoring them.
Let's focus for a second here on gratitude, because Linda, people have been saying to me like, "Hey, how you holding up?" And generally, I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good." You know, really? Oh, you sure you're good? I'm like, "No, I am." And they're like, "Well, how do you know?" I'm like, "Here's how I know. I am so grateful to Billy Ray, because I can't help but think to myself, when I first got to San Diego, I was 30 years old. I'm 56. Where would I be in my life today if it wasn't for Billy Ray accepting me as a partner, putting his arm around me and telling the community, this is my go-to guy. He's with me. He's good, which, that was an endorsement, right?
It was. You needed that endorsement.
Oh, big time.
You
He
did
vouched
coming
for
in.
me, no doubt. So not only did we have these years, me, you, and Billy Ray, and Alex, and Pratty before, and Carlos, and everybody else who was part of our team, not only do we have these amazing years, but even to this moment today, why are we podcasting? Because when we went off the air in 2019, we had built enough of a relationship with somebody who said, you don't need the radio anymore. That was Jason Finley up at Callaway. Why am I on the radio in Los Angeles? Because Billy Ray and I, the show, was so successful that a program director in LA used to drive around listening to us rather than listening to her own radio station. And when the opportunity showed up, she was like, yeah, I love that guy. So my point is that I know for me, I would not be where I am in my life today. I still got a lot that I want to accomplish, but I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Billy Ray giving me the opportunity. And then really for Billy Ray, Linda, you know better than anybody, right? Like Billy Ray went with everything, every goofball scheme and idea that I had. He was like, okay, let's do it. So I didn't face resistance per se. I had support around me. So Linda, for me, as I hear Ken say this, and I hope everybody else can find the same, I'm just so mother effing grateful to Billy Ray for giving me the 25 plus year career that I've had in Southern California radio, because without him, I'm not here. Linda, I'm just curious, how are you feeling about this notion of gratitude?
The same thing. I mean, we've had private conversations. I mean, because I went back and forth. I was with you guys and then I left for a little while and then I came back. And in that process, I had a really hard decision to make, because it really came down to money. I mean, let's be real, and Billy Ray he pulled me aside and he just got so real. And he said, you know what? I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay, but here's a piece of advice. I want you to be happy. You've got a family. You've got to be happy. You've got to do what you want to do. And if you need me to get in and fight for you or do whatever, I mean, you both were like that, but I just distinctly remember a conversation we had in the parking lot and among other conversations, and the other ones. And he was there to back you up. And I am grateful for that. And when you did say gratitude, I'm glad you picked up on the word, Scott, because I was the same way. When I know that my parents And what I tell my kids when you're having a bad day, and even if it has to do with grief or not grief, wake up in the morning and just pick 3 things you're grateful for. That's going to start your day. You're going to get going that way. Just what am I grateful for? When you go to bed at night and you're having trouble sleeping, get your mind back in there. What am I grateful for the day? And it can be the most simple thing. I'm grateful for a warm cup of coffee in the morning. That's great. And when you deal with people like Billy Ray, I mean, I know people say this, but he really was a good human being.
Oh, good. I mean, this is a guy who literally did not have a skeleton in the closet. If there was a skeleton, it was me.
No.
You know what I mean? If they opened the closet there, I was hanging in there, but Ken, what
it's actually true.
You talked about this at the very beginning, which is, there's the grief of loss, and then there's like this living grief. Ken, I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but many years back, Linda told Billy Ray and I in the air that she had breast cancer.
Yes.
And I remember losing my shit on the air that day. I tried my best not to, but I couldn't. But you think about it, Linda, like the day that we went out and did that walk, that breast cancer walk, the way that Billy Ray and I like went into action. We got to call Peter Seidler. We got to get money raised. Hey Peter, can you, if we raise this money, will you match it? He was like, yeah. I called him back. I go, hey, can you get us that check for like 10 grand? He goes, whoa, 10 grand? What are you talking about? He goes, I thought we said 5 grand. And I'm like, wait, billionaires bitch about 5 grand? Are you kidding me?
And yet he did it. He did it without, there was no real hesitation. The guy was,
Peter wrote that check. Awesome. He wrote that. I had to twist his arm a little bit, but he wrote that freaking check. But Billy Ray was the kind of guy that, he could have been busy. He could have been preoccupied. When it came to you, I mean, he loved you, and he's going to show up at that walk, and he's going to shake hands and take pictures. I mean, he really was always there for all of his teammates.
He was, with that big booming voice. We're going to do it. Let's do it. Even the story about practice, with the Chargers, he said, let's go out there and let's have fun for practice. Then it won't be work anymore. Let's do this. He just embraced life. And I know that, you talk about gratitude, but I will say, I know from my own loss that, Kimberly and Savannah and his family, it's, all that stuff happened, and there's hugs and there's warmth and there's flowers and people bringing food. And then we all know what happens, right?
That's right.
Everybody else goes back to life.
I want to fill in that gap with probably the most important thing you'll hear me say. You're 100% on. Gratitude is the antidote. I just spent 3 days with a dear friend who's dying up in San Francisco. We talked mostly about his gratitude, but we also created the safety to talk about his sorrow, about I call it packing your bags. Packing your bags is when somebody is confronted with the fact that their life is going to end. Mm-hmm. And packing your bags is your spiritual life. It's your legal, financial world, putting your house in order. It's all the things you need to say and do to be at peace. That this is the time where your life is going to be winding down, and to be at least at peace and to be free to make the best decisions about how this happens, not to go kicking and screaming. And the way we people who are dying and people who are confronting their own mortality at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever, and the way we support families that have to go on, they're in that what now moment and trying to meet it with honesty and integrity, is also to create the safety for sorrow. We are so judgmental. We see somebody crying, people, you come into my office and they start crying because they've suffered a loss, and they start apologizing. And I say, your apology is not accepted. You've honored and trusted me with your tears, with your deepest, with your love and your sorrow. There's no time to apologize. There's no need to apologize. We're ashamed as though we should be strong all the time. Well, the most important thing is to understand paradox. We're Scotty, when we say you're okay, I 100% know you're okay. I can look into your eyes. There's a part of you that's okay. But there's another part of you that's sadder than shit.
Dude, listen, just
And
on that note real quick, I just want to say I'm driving around and I'm listening to some old Scott and BR shows, and me and Linda and Billy Ray laughing, having a great time, and I'm laughing along the way. And then I don't know, something happens. And then the next thing you know, I'm bawling my eyes out.
Cars are a really good place to cry. Cars and showers. Those
And
are my those are my go-tos.
And yell. I made noises in my car that scared me. But when we make it safe, when we understand paradox, it's not, are you okay or are you not okay? It's both. You're okay and you're not okay. It's not okay that he died. It's not okay that my daughter died. It's not okay my friend in San Francisco is going to die and lose all these years we talked about. He said, God, I was hoping to be here, my grandkids and the future here. And he's in love with his wife and she's, and heart sick. And I want to be here for that. And I have so much more to contribute. He's a best-selling author and all this. Anyhow, it's both. We can be both okay and not okay. I can tell people say, what's happening with, how do you feel about Jenna? She's gone and she's never left my side. Both are true. You can't understand grief and loss until you understand both are true. I'm brokenhearted to the core, and I'm whole because I don't spend my time resisting, hiding, denying, trying to avoid at any cost my sorrow when it bubbles up. My sorrow shows up. It's like, oh, you're here again to tell me I love and miss my daughter. And you're also giving me a chance. Thank you for being here, because this gives me a chance to say, Jenna, I love you. I don't understand with any certainty. It comes to faith. Mm-hmm. We bet our faith about what happens when, because we're in this grand mystery called life and death. And so I bet my faith and I say, I love you. And on the chance that maybe there's some way love gets transmitted when we die. We say, Billy Ray, that Saturday was Billy Ray. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hoping that there's some way that he will feel that and be at peace and know that his life was a life well lived.
And Ken, yeah. I'm just curious, because you talk about the gratitude, which we all agree with that. Have you found that there are different ways when people go and how they go and how the grieving process is? And what I mean by that is that I've had very abrupt deaths in my life. But I look at Billy Ray and I look at, like, say, my mom, who had Alzheimer's, and Billy Ray had, brain issues. And so we knew, like, as Kimberly knew, as we knew,
as Billy Ray knew, by the way, Billy Ray knew.
As Billy Ray knew. And my mom knew too, that, they give a heads up, but I was wondering this, and I haven't, had a chance to talk to Kim in depth about anything, but like with my mom, we kind of started to go, well, we better start talking about things. And she wanted none of it. Now you talk about giving people that space to grieve, right? Okay. And it's important, but maybe I'm hoping Billy Ray and Kim did have those conversations. Billy Ray is the type who would want to cover things and talk about things. He talked to you, Scott, about the lawsuit, this is why I want to do this.
Yeah. I just want to interject really quickly because I want you to finish that thought. Please do. But when I say Billy Ray knew, I've told the story. Yes. We're at a commercial break one day. We got 3 or 4 minutes. I said, Michael, what are you doing suing the NFL? What are you doing, man? You loved playing in the NFL. You loved being a Charger. Your father was an NFL player. You were, quote unquote, rich and famous in San Diego because of football. Why the hell would you sue the NFL? You're fine. That's what I said to him. You're fine. And he said, I'm fine today. But what happens in 10 years from now if I'm not fine? I must know that my wife and daughter are taken care of. That's right. And I've had this conversation with Kimberly, Linda, coming back to you. And she said to me, Scott, he knew. He just knew. Mm-hmm. He knew that he was looking in the mirror and he knew that things were not what they once were.
Yes.
And most of us did not. So Linda, you were saying though about like having time to prepare versus like tragic drop dead death.
Like Ken, your daughter's death, that came out of nowhere. My brother just earlier this year had a massive heart attack out of nowhere. I mean, he had health, high cholesterol, but
Yes.
when you look at that, and then I see these shows. I mean, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but like that hoarder show, and when they bring a psychologist in, it oftentimes is due to a loss that they're still hanging on to, and they can't get rid of the clothes, and they can't get rid of the thing, and they can't get rid of anything. So now they become hoarders. And is it, people that, because you can't force someone to deal with their own death.
No, you can't.
So you can only work on yourself, I guess.
By the way, I'm going to send you after the segment, I'm going to send you my articles from Psychology Today on parents, the perspective of what to do with a parent who I don't want to talk about it. I'm not dead yet.
Right.
A parent who is so afraid, is so defenseless against their own fear.
It's hard.
And it leaves the responsibility for managing that future that Billy Ray was managing when he said what he said to you, Scott. But it leaves that responsibility with an adult child. And how do we deal with that? What do we do? Do we force something? And the magical word in trying to open that conversation is the word help. Dad, I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, Mom, I need your help. And explaining it to them as something they can do, a contribution they can make, not something you're trying to force them, that you've got this fix it thing going. Now you're going to fix your dad and you're going to fix the future, but it's no, you're doing it for me. And oftentimes asking for help or even apologizing. I know this sounds weird. Sometimes the way to break a conversation into a conversation with somebody where there's a wall between both of you is to say, I owe you an apology. Scott, I owe you an apology. I haven't been in touch with you. I haven't called you, and we haven't spoken in a year. And that was because, I've prioritized other things over our friendship. Okay. Now, making that apology opens the door, depending on how he takes that. It's like Ken has humbled himself. I'm remembering as I tell this story that the most honorable thing that a person did in my community, I live in Del Mar, a buddy of mine who has been avoiding me in the years after Jenna died, finally came up to me in the street. He says, I've seen you a dozen times and I've avoided you and I'm ashamed and embarrassed. I almost felt like, my God, maybe it's contagious. I've got kids. I don't know what to say to you. What do you say to a parent who's lost a kid? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to so I've avoided you and I'm embarrassed, but I'm coming up to you today to apologize and to tell you I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened. And I thought, my God, what a courageous and noble and virtuous thing this man did to own up to his avoidance. So I think sometimes when we own up to something we've done or haven't done, you could even talk to your dad, say, Dad, I owe you an apology. I've been trying to get you to do this, that, and the other thing and convince you. And I've probably put more pressure on you than you needed. And you haven't responded, but I just wanted to apologize to you. Well, and he's going to go, oh my God. And he may open up. That may open the door.
Yeah. I think this conversation is probably one of many we'll likely have in the future, because I think I said this to Linda earlier, but it's when Billy Ray's sister came up to me at the celebration of life and she said, you don't understand. I'm disconnected living all the way across the country. We didn't know what to do either. We didn't know how to deal with our grief. So what did we do? Billy Ray's birthday was like 11 days after he died. So we put together a birthday party and people watched 2.5 hours of storytelling about Billy Ray. But that's all we knew how to do, Linda and I and Alex and Browner. We only know how to mobilize and not even really think about ourselves or thinking about other people. You know, like you people haven't had a place to congregate. You haven't had a chance to express these emotions. We're going to provide that kind of a place, but obviously it was good for us too. Ken, we'll talk again, but I'll leave this conversation with the word gratitude, knowing that gratitude is the antidote, to use your phrase, for sadness. Is just the best thing to do is to just be grateful for the time that we had with Billy Ray.
Yes. I want to offer Billy Ray's family, people at the epicenter of his life, an opportunity as my gift of love to him and his family, time in a Zoom call. I call it a family council meeting, where the whole family can come together online from wherever they are and to talk about what they're going through. The first question I always ask is, tell me one thing you're doing that's helping you. Tell me one thing that's been helping you. And we spread the good word about things people are doing that are really helping them get to the next day, the next breath, the next moment. And I would offer that, if you could make that offering on my behalf to his family, I would be honored to schedule a time to do that, and a good hour and a half where we could all talk.
Oh,
I bet they would love that.
They would probably love that.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody who's listening or watching right now, if this conversation is bringing up a lot of emotions for you because things have happened in your real life, I would recommend that you go to Ken's website. It's Ken Druck. You see his name on the bottom of the screen, kendruck.com. And you can read about what Ken does, and you can also connect with him. You can schedule an appointment to chat with him. And so here's his website. And the book, How We Go On, is really one of his best sellers. But again, we're selfishly, we're kind of doing this for us, but we also understand how Billy Ray's family is feeling the connection to his life and his community through us. So Ken, thank you very much for the time today. This was really helpful.
An honor for me.
We appreciate you, Ken. Thank you so much. Well, Linda. Oh, wow.
It's heavy.
Yeah. I know.
But good.
And I'm looking at you, and I know, about your mom, and I know about your brother, Ed, who, Rachel and I really, really had a great relationship with. And I know that what Ken was saying is so right, because it's like, I almost feel like we all feel entitled to dying a slow death, meaning like, oh, I'm going to be 85. I'm going to be laying in a hospital. My whole family's going to be around me. I'm going to be writing notes about where money is.
I'm going to put a video out. I'm going to do,
yeah, right. But not everybody gets that gift. And I think of it as a gift. Billy Ray had the gift, and that's why I thought when Kimberly was so amazing speaking, I thought to myself, how is she possibly doing this? And then I realized, in her mind, she probably has been dealing with this for so long that while for some people, wow, Billy Ray just died instantaneously. Oh, wow, it just happened so quick. No, it didn't happen quickly. It's been going on for a long time. So she's probably been more emotionally prepared, even though we're at this finality. She was probably more emotionally prepared than everybody who was there.
Well, you do find that oftentimes. I know if you go to a wake or funeral, if it is that kind of a death, like I found for me with my mom, because that was a slower one, I was consoling other people, and it was my mom. But you're right. That's how it happens, because you've been gearing up and you've been going through this whole process, and you will have your moment that you break. But yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. I would love that he put it out there for the whole family to have a Zoom call. But I will say that oftentimes people grieve and they think they're going to be okay and they're fine. And when they really need it, it could be a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
It could be all that stuff that just, that's why it is important to drive in your car, cry all you want, or wherever, or in front of people. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Somebody came up to me. I don't want to say who, but somebody came up to me after Billy Ray's celebration. We were still in the church, and this person told me, he goes, man, you really wronged me by something you did on the radio. And I was like, geez, I'm sorry. I don't recall that, but I have a big mouth. I'm kind of obnoxious, and that sounds like something I might have done. I'm really super sorry that this impacted you and somebody else in your family. Gosh, I'm terribly sorry. In the name of Billy Ray, in the world of doing things right, in the world of Billy Ray lived the right way, I would love to have the opportunity to try and make right on what is this wrong. And this all happened yesterday. So today's Tuesday. This celebration of life was Saturday. All of this happened yesterday. Like, I literally was like, I don't want this lingering anger or misunderstanding, I will make the apology. I will be sincere. I will, because I guess that's part of this whole Billy Ray thing, is he did everything right. He lived so right. Drew Brees said he was the most virtuous person. He lived by his morals. He didn't sacrifice them. He didn't sell them out. And I just was like, you know what? I want to do right. So,
but what you're saying is what Ken said in the very beginning. We don't understand the magnitude and what we need to do in life until we face death, right?
Yeah.
So now everybody has a different way of looking at things. I know since that's happened, and since I've had quite a year, I mean, especially with cell phones and things, if I'm talking to my kids, they're away. I'm focused. I try to be so much more in the moment now, and it's never too late. I love that you're doing that. I mean, I'm dying to find out, what that whole thing is, and we're going to do that in a minute. But it's good because it's never too late, and you right the wrongs.
Yeah.
If you wrong somebody, you do want to make it right.
Right. That's right. Well, hey, listen, everybody. I hope this helps. I really do. To Kimberly and Savannah and Billy Ray's brother and sisters and stepsisters and stepmom and mom who couldn't make it because, of her own health-related issues, I'm sure.
And Kim's mom and that woman from Texas we went to high school with.
Oh my God.
What
Billy Ray
a
had a high
lovely
school,
lady.
a girl who was from Texas. She went to high school with Billy Ray. She wanted to come talk to us, to Steve Fisher and Donnie Edwards and Norv Turner and people who just showed up who we didn't even expect. David Chow, et cetera, Bob Wick. The list goes on and on. Kellen Winslow, of people who showed up at this celebration. Man, I just appreciate you guys so much. And I'll just end it by saying I am truly grateful. I am grateful for the relationship that I had with Billy Ray and the relationships that it spawned outside of just that one. So we'll talk more at our next podcast, but I hope this helped everybody. Until next time, great friends. As Drew Brees said, Drew Brees actually threw out a great friends, like a great friends cheer while on stage. Let's all do it.
Yes.
Together. Great friends.
Great friends.
Great friends. We'll see you guys next time.